What's up, guys? Welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Hassan. That is Sal. That is Dan. I'm pointing in directions, but I don't know where their cameras actually are. We're going to be here to talk about who the Kevin Feige of the DC universe should be. If you guys haven't seen it, the DC universe had a full-on shake-up, shakedown, breakdown, mental panic attack. I don't know. It's completely in pieces, and they're rebuilding, and they claim they want a Kevin Feige. So we're going to talk about it. And before we do, let's talk about our sponsor. We are sponsored by G Fuel. Use code COMICS at checkout for Dan. What kind of discount are we getting?
You can get a 10% discount on whatever you buy.
10% on whatever you buy over at G Fuel, and subscribe. We want 100 subscribers apparently. I don't know. Benny keeps saying that in videos. But let's get in discussion. Sal, Dan, do you guys have picks for who your Kevin Feige is? I got one.
Because no. But you did have
one.
You suggested a couple because you said there was like a Twitter breakdown, and I'm happy to defer to the group in this one because I don't know who it should be, but I do know who I like. You know,
right?
In this, I do have a horse in this race, so feel free to break it down for us.
I am full blown, all the way through Greg Weisman.
Yes.
I don't think Greg Weisman alone.
Hold up, Hassan. You're a fan of Greg Weisman?
If you're a fan of this channel, then you know that is true. Yes.
Look, guys. I think Greg Weisman, but I think he needs a creative partner. I would like it to be Brandon Vietti, who also ran Young Justice with him, but even someone else. Greg Weisman has wonderful vision. I think they maybe need somebody in traditional media for longer for execution of it. But as far as who's going to create a sprawling, long-running narrative that has references from the first, drawings of it in episode 1 all the way into the 4th season of it, where you're still seeing little payoffs, like characters in the background falling in love over seasons in the background, like stuff like that. It's really, really robust continuity. He's managed to keep up with it for years, and his retcons work really, really well because they're never hack me, they're never bullshit. I think continuity-wise, he is literally the only writer, producer, that other than a Marvel property that has actually done continuity properly. Because even the projects that are, adjacently connected, he did Young Justice, right?
Yep.
He did an episode of Young Justice with the character Razor in it, who's an original character from Green Lantern, the animated series. Green Lantern, the animated series, isn't a part of Young Justice. Greg Weisman said, just imagine it's an adjacent universe, so a version of these events all did occur, but not those exact events. Genius. What a way to bring in an OC character from a show, bring in a continuity, but not muddy it up with, this happened at this date at this time, but Hal Jordan should have been at Earth with the Young Justice team doing this and this and this. He manages to do that really, really well. He did it with his Catwoman show as well. It's perfect. That's my pick. I know, Dan, you had some thoughts. You had a Greg Berlanti, maybe?
No, actually, I think Greg Weisman would be great, but I definitely agree that he would need someone else because of the fact that I think he would be great at creating and kind of theory crafting an entire universe, but I think he would need someone else to help him properly divide it into movies. Because he's very good with shows and ongoing stories and stuff like that, but I feel like when it comes down to making something that's both self-contained and a part of a big universe, the self-contained, I think he would struggle a little bit with because he would start going a little too much into all these other movies are basically required.
I don't know, because Weisman has developed shows, yes, and if we were talking about shows, it's that's a no-brainer. But in the movie arm, I feel like he also knows what he's doing when it comes to handling individual franchises, because he's also been stuck kind of handling those pre-Young Justice. Young Justice, he's legitimately he's dealing with the Titans, the Justice League, the Magic, the space. He's got the whole damn DC universe to play with, and it's set against the DC animated universe of the Timverse, which is already beloved and manages to create an entire fandom from that. So that's kind of amazing in and of itself. But he also developed everything you like about Men in Black. He made that show. That was his show. He developed the Men in Black show, and that's just Men in Black. He developed the Spectacular Spider-Man show.
Oh my God, I watched that for the very first time last week. I watched and finished that. Oh my God.
What a good show.
That might be my favorite portrayal of Peter Parker other than PS4 Spider-Man. Is a close second.
Absolutely.
That's it.
No,
it was amazing.
And it's self-contained. It's Spider-Man. It is a Spider-Man show, but if you watch Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it's that Spider-Man, even though it's Drake Bell, but we should just change that. But it is supposed to be that Spider-Man. So they were able, he made it closed end-to-end to work as its own universe, but still work within the scope of the Marvel Universe if they wanted to. He also developed the Gargoyles universe, which is another like expansive thing that had its own spin-offs and stuff. Like, or at least one, the Goliath Chronicles. But like, he was able to develop an entire original universe with its own mythology, set against real mythology or real mythology, like, you know, in our reality mythology, and engineer kind of like an entire beloved universe that, if it was ever given a snowball's chance in hell, would be successful today. Like,
I think it's coming back, isn't it? It got a reboot.
It's getting a comic book series, which is great, but like, you know, we're all kind of like, Keith David's still alive. Please make the movie. Like, but yeah, man, like, he knows how to handle franchise, and that's the thing, is he's not one of those people. He worked on Star Wars Rebels. He was a producer on Rebels. Like, he knows how to work within franchises that are beloved. He knows how to engineer franchises.
He does.
Yeah, but all of these are shows is the thing.
Right.
And that's the difference, is like a show, you do have such a large amount of time to work with and to have all of that stuff. And that's why I feel like there would need to be someone else as well, because it really is a completely different ballgame. It's just like what we're saying with when it goes to the, like when we get a continuation in the comics, it's not the same at all.
No.
It's a different medium. Like, you can get the same kind of stories, but at the end of the day, when you're writing that comic, it's a different process and formula that you got to kind of abide by. So, like, he's clearly shown that he could make, like, basically like the plan for everything. Like,
right.
Really go, hey, like, because they say, oh, for like in 10 years or a 10-year plan. I think Greg Weisman would be fantastic for making
to develop
that
a 10-year
plan.
Yeah.
But I think he would need someone else to help really go, fantastic plan. This would be the best way to divide it up to make it work with individual movies that work together but also work on their own, because like in Young Justice there's a lot going on and there's a lot of interconnection, which we love in Young Justice, but I feel like if you go into the movies and you're like, hey, it would be like going into a movie and being like, hey, you need to know these important small details about Ant-Man that you would not know unless you watched Ant-Man, because we don't have enough time in this movie to explain that connection.
Right, you're concerned that Weisman wouldn't be able to execute like a solo film that is set against that universe. Like, just you need somebody who knows how to tell individual stories within a movie framework.
Right.
Exactly. Right. And like have him set
like,
that framework.
Wiseman would be like more completely full on hands on in your Justice Leagues and your Titans and your big team up movies, right? But overall, I think the idea of him like creating the sprawling narrative, working with individual writers and directors to say, like, hey, actually, no, I want to use this character in a later film, or hey, you could try this one. This would work really well for you.
Right.
I'd like to bring him into the fold earlier because I intend to bring him into this one later.
Yeah.
That would be his role, but definitely like in the same vein as Fiege, honestly. And I think the only person who has showcased like what he did with Spectacular Spider-Man is one of the coolest like adaptations of Spider-Man mythos, bringing like Eddie Brock into being Peter Parker's childhood best friend. And then when he turns into Venom, it's so much more concussive. Like there's so many little things, the whole Harry, Gwen, MJ, Liz
Love
Allen,
triangle,
love pentagonal,
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
It's done really well. Like you almost you root for you want him with Gwen, and then all of a sudden you're rooting for Liz Allen, and then you're rooting for Gwen again, and then you're rooting for Mary Jane. It's really, really well done. So I have a lot of faith in him. I think it'd be a shame if we don't talk about Greg Berlanti, just because he did in fact create a sprawling universe.
Right.
He's not my pick. I would not want him. I think that maybe he would do better not with the CW's like, hey, make Hack Me drama.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe he was in charge of the Hack Me drama. The CW verse had continuity for a very, very short amount of time before it was just like, this is all nonsense, and none of it makes sense ever. And I'm a person who has watched every single property they ever made for a very long time. I quit around 2019, and up until then, when Batwoman came out was the first time I was like, I'm not gonna fucking watch that show.
That's fair.
I will not do it. But up until that point, I watched all the shows. But he did do it. He did create an interconnected universe where characters overlapped, episodes crossed over. Crisis on Earth X is actually a really fun watch. That was like their second or third big crossover.
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths, less fun to watch, but still really cool. A lot of cool actors, a lot of good juggling acts. He did like, fun moments like Brandon Routh as Ray Palmer, meeting Brandon Routh as Kingdom Come Superman.
Yeah.
Where they have like a little dialogue. He goes, do you also have a gluten allergy? He's like, no, I don't have that. And he's just like a little bit taller than regular Brandon Routh and Ray Palmer. That's cool. And Greg Berlanti was really good at that. So I think it's important to bring him up.
Yeah, like I think he would be great as well because of the fact that like when you go through those shows, they did have those crossover events and they worked, but there was also enough time spent on the individual characters that you got both the crossovers and their individual stuff, and it all worked fine. I will say with the CW, I don't know how much say was in everything, but I do know that, or I do feel like the CW kind of had an idea and then went a little longer than was originally anticipated, and that really skews with things. And I think with what he showed, if he was given like no, you've got this much time. You don't have to make something that's going to be this amount and then wonder whether or not something's going to get renewed for this one, but not for this one. So you got to, no, if you've got like that full plan in front of you, he has shown that he can do individual properties, proper crossovers, at the appropriate time with the appropriate events and situations like that, I mean, it's another good option. Like, it's another good option because CW, like a lot of the things or a lot of the problems, at least I personally have with CW stuff, isn't so much the property itself, it's the CW aspects. Right. And I feel like if you separate it from that and you go, no, we want an actual superhero movie as opposed to a superhero drama like that you need to stretch out for an hour-long TV show and have these crazy dramas that are going to last the whole season. Yeah. Like if you take that part out, a lot of those different shows are very good quality, and I think that could work as well. I think that is actually another very good option.
Yeah. And he hit a stride into the later years where originally it was like a crossover where it's the characters are back to back in both shows. Like all the Arrow characters are on Flash and all the Flash characters on Arrow, and they're kind of telling one narrative, but it's not like considered one concise story. You could watch the episode on Arrow and then just immediately move on to the next episode on Arrow. Then later they did like full blown, this is just called Crisis on Earth X. Episode 1 is Arrow, episode 2 is this person in this show. It worked a lot better. And then I think the best thing they ever did was like the little episodes where Oliver would just show up on, Flash. It wouldn't even be a big deal, or Diggle would show up or Felicity would show up. It was done really, really well. So he's had the experience with that, which there's his thing. Personally, no, I don't want him. But I have no love. I honestly, if the CW shows really, really, really waned in quality so severely, I would hate for the DC universe to come out with a huge stride and then have CW-isms be pulled into it.
It's the worst thing it could do.
Let's not dare to defy. Let's just make what we should make this go around. And then Jim Lee was also brought up, and I don't know a ton about Jim Lee, but maybe you guys have some comments on Jim Lee.
I don't like that idea. I appreciate Jim Lee's contributions to the medium, and I think he's a terrific artist, but I've never seen him actually lead or produce, so I would not trust him to run a movie studio. That's all.
Yeah. I feel like it's you could have him in as kind of a consultant, but not someone to lead.
I feel like I want his consultation. Like
I mean, at most a consultation, because like it's like what I was saying earlier of the transferring of different mediums. You can't just go, hey, the things that I did for comics, I'm going to put on the screen. That's not how it works.
Well, it couldn't hurt. Like, you remember when the MCU was first formed and when Fiege was in charge? It wasn't just Fiege. He was beholden to a brain trust of Marvel people, like, which included Bendis and other comic book creators who were like, this isn't what this character would do. This is what this character would do. Like, there was a Marvel trust that had like a vote, at least, if not some kind of pull. And eventually Feige's like, we've outgrown these people. You're all fired. I'm in charge, and we're doing
Very
this.
smart move, Kevin.
Right. Like, we've
Very
got
smart move.
I honestly, like, I don't know if it was a good move or not at this point. Like, I think that the Infinity Saga speaks for itself and its success, but I think we've gotten very comfortable in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of just doing whatever we want with those characters instead of being like, what do these characters represent? Who are they? Thankfully, Kevin Feige does have like a filter and like a quality control thing where he's like,
Right.
we're not going to stray too far, from the norm, but when I think it's a good decision to change, we're going to change it, like Kamala Khan's powers. Like, that's all him being like, no, it's not going to be Reed Richards. Moving on.
Right.
But like, and the Brain Trust would have been like, absolutely not. Like, they're intrinsically, they would have been like, no, and they would have explained everything that every YouTuber's already done. But like, I think that DC might benefit from maybe having like a collection, small group of people like Joshua Williamson, maybe Johns, I don't know, but certainly people who know the industry and know the characters and care about them, and they have, not like that they're like some secret Illuminati governing body, but like that they have a voice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Tom Taylor, like the
Tom
writers that make
Taylor,
great
Josh
contributions
Williamson,
known for their love of the characters. Dan DiDio's not allowed.
No.
Like, keep him outside. Keep him lock the doors. Like, Dan, sorry, we're in conference room C.
Yeah.
They're in conference room A. He's
Exactly.
not allowed in there.
Scott Snyder, like these people who want to be, people who want to be in the movie industry.
Right.
Who would like to be a little closer. I mean, like, honestly, what's funny about this is that Bendis works for DC sometimes now, so like, he might be a good fit over there, except I don't like his interpretation of the DC universe. But like, having a group of comic book people help shepherd the line to completion, and then of course have the studio go, well, we know it better. You're all fired. Like, eventually.
Right.
See,
Eventually.
I think that's actually like it. Even the firing of it, I think that's an okay and a good way to do it as well, because I think that's a great way to really establish a new universe true to the characters, but enough that you can then go, no, this is its own universe. We're going to make these characters this universe's version, but we've got the proper foundation.
Right.
And that's the very, very important part, is you want people who are passionate about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are really going to go, no. This person would never do that. Yes, you can like have them maybe do this weird thing, but like at the end of the day, this is one thing that they would never do, and that really betrays the character. And you like having that trust really does help you build that foundation. And I think the foundation is something that the DCEU always struggled with. It was almost like it was kind of like they just had the generic bullet points of characters, but didn't
Snyder
have the
didn't read a
passion.
book.
Well, it was his interpretation, which is
Exactly.
I do appreciate that like one creator had this kind of vision, but also like one of the things that sets it apart from the MCU is like there was some semblance of accountability, where it's like you can't just say, like, well, I'm Peyton Reed and I think Ant-Man would do this, and it's like, no. You know what I mean? Like, you have creative freedom, but also you're playing with characters you don't own.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, these are all good ideas. Maybe not the Berlanti one, but at least like the Berlanti adjacent concept of like, we need somebody who knows how to do this.
Yeah. I want to show Berlanti the respect he deserves for at least doing it. I don't love how you did it. You made me angry.
Right.
But Wiseman's my pick. I like Wiseman in a trust, in a brain trust.
There we go.
I can't imagine a brain trust would ever have an issue with anything Greg Wiseman has to say.
True.
Though. I feel like they'd be like, okay.
Yeah, sounds good, Greg. I mean,
come here today? I thought we were going to be in the movie industry, but he knows what he's doing. They're going to cry about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor's probably a guy who has like a really nice handkerchief to pass out. He just seems like the kind of guy who takes care of people.
Definitely.
I say that because I've been reading his Nightwing run. Oh,
good stuff.
My God, you understand a character that other people don't at all.
Yeah.
But I digress. I think this video, it's if you guys have your Kevin Feige recommendations below, drop it. Whether it's Gerard Way or Neil Gaiman, I'm seeing some random ones in the comments. Even if it's just something crazy that it wouldn't actually happen, or then give me your like, here's a real true to form. This is a guy I think could do it. That he's got the skills for it.
Yeah.
Let us know. Love to talk about this more below. That's Sal. That's Dan. I'm Hassan. Once again, use code COMICS when you're checking out at G Fuel. Get 10% off. Subscribe. subscribe. We need to get to 100 subscribers. I hate that. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. We need to get everybody a play button, okay? The boys need their silver play buttons. It's time, guys. So let's work hard together to get there. But we've been Absolutely, and we'll see you guys next time.